At a certain point in life, many of us start to look around our homes and quietly wonder, how did it all pile up like this? The shelves, the closets, the garage, filled with decades of things that once meant something, or maybe still do. But deep down, we know that all this stuff is taking up more than just space. It's taking up peace of mind. It's making our lives heavier when we crave lightness, simplicity, and freedom. But what if I told you that decluttering your home, even just one room, could open the door to something much bigger than a cleaner space? What if it could give you back your energy, your focus, and your joy? That's exactly what happened to someone named Margaret. She didn't just clear her house. She cleared the emotional weight she had been carrying for years. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the very same method she used. 7 powerful decluttering hacks that were made for seniors. Realistic, fast, and surprisingly freeing. These aren't the sugar-coated tips you hear everywhere. These are no-nonsense tools that work, even if you're tired, overwhelmed, or not sure where to begin. Before we dive in, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Drop your city or state in the comments below. I always love seeing how far our community is reaching. Point 1. The brutal sort method. Alright, let's start with something that works fast. The brutal sort method. This method is especially helpful for those of us who've lived in the same home for decades and have built up layers and layers of belongings, many tied to people we've loved or times we've cherished. Here's how it works. You give yourself 10 minutes per room. That's it. And in those 10 minutes, you sort everything into just 3 categories. 1. Must keep. These are items you absolutely need or use regularly. Think medications, important papers, or that one mug you always reach for each morning. 2. Maybe. This is the danger zone. This is where most people get stuck. Maybe I'll need it. Maybe I'll wear it. Maybe someone will want it someday. 3. Haven't used in a year. These go straight to the toss or donate pile. No arguments. Now here's the real trick. Treat the maybe pile like the toss pile. Why? Because maybe is where clutter hides. It's where we fool ourselves into thinking we're being careful when we're really just afraid to make a decision. Margaret figured that out. She said, "Every time I kept a maybe, I just kept the burden." She started in her kitchen, a smart move, by the way, because the kitchen is full of practical stuff. In just 10 minutes, she cleared out 19 teacups. She only drinks coffee, several old pots she hadn't used in years, and a broken waffle iron from the 90s. What did she keep? Just her favorite coffee mug, the one her daughter painted in 3rd grade. It was the speed that made this method work. No overthinking, just quick, honest choices. And with every item she let go of, she felt her home and her heart get a little lighter. So, if you're ready to make a dent, grab a trash bag, set a timer for 10 minutes, and go. Don't pause. Don't second guess. And remember, maybe is just clutter wearing a disguise. Point 2. The 8-minute blitz. It's a simple idea. You only work for 8 minutes at a time. That's it. No pressure to finish a whole room or clean out a whole closet. Just one small area. Maybe a single drawer, one shelf, or the top of your nightstand. You set a timer for 8 minutes. Do what you can, and when the timer goes off, you stop. Even if you're not done. Margaret discovered something very important about herself. After about 8 minutes, her brain would get tired. She'd start second-guessing everything. She'd pick something up, say maybe I'll use this, and put it right back. And that's when she realized, the longer she worked, the less productive she became. So she flipped the script. Instead of long hours that drained her, she gave herself permission to do tiny sprints. She started with the bathroom cabinet, full of old shampoo bottles, expired medicine, and dusty jars she hadn't touched in years. In one 8-minute round, she filled an entire trash bag. Then she moved to her bedside drawer, old receipts, broken pens, for pairs of reading glasses, and coupons from 2012. Gone. 8 minutes later, she had a clean, calm drawer. What made this method work so well was that it felt doable. She didn't dread decluttering anymore. She'd put on a timer, knock out a drawer, then make herself a cup of tea. Sometimes she'd do 2 or 3 sessions in a day. But even if she did just one, it still felt like a win. The key here is consistency, not speed. 8 focused minutes every day will make a bigger difference than one exhausting day where you burn out and quit for a month. And if 8 feels like too much, start with 5 or 3. It's not about the time, it's about the intention. So what's one little spot you could tackle in just 8 minutes today? Pick it, set a timer, and see how much lighter you feel when you're done. Point 3. The outsider test. This was the turning point for Margaret. She had spent years surrounded by objects that used to mean something. A dozen vases from her flower arranging days, boxes of her kids' old report cards, coats from when she was still teaching. But those days were behind her now, and while her heart held on to the past, her house was paying the price. So she asked herself, if I were gone tomorrow, would a stranger keep this? Or would they see it as clutter? And just like that, she started seeing clearly. Not with guilt, not with sadness, but with honesty. She donated most of those vases to a local community center. Why? Because she hadn't arranged flowers in over 10 years. A stranger wouldn't keep them. She kept one, her favorite, and let the rest go. It was the same with her kids' old school papers. She kept one report card each, the special ones with kind teacher comments or proud grades. The rest? She let them go without shame. The most powerful shift came when she got to her closet. Margaret had 12 winter coats. 12. And she lived in a mild climate where she barely needed one. She kept the coat she loved, the warm one with deep pockets, and donated the rest to a local shelter. Someone else can actually use these, she said. I just look at them and feel bad. The outsider test is tough, but it's freeing. It helps you let go of guilt and obligation. It helps you see your space for what it is, yours, not a storage unit for the past. And when you let go of what no longer fits your life, you start making room for what does. Point 4. The cost of clutter check. Here's how it works. Every time she hesitated to let something go, she asked herself 3 simple questions. 1. Can I replace this if I ever need it again? 2. How much would it realistically cost? 3. When was the last time I actually used it? Has it been more than 5 years? Sounds simple, but this method exposed the truth. Most of the stuff we're keeping just in case is actually costing us way more than it would to replace. Not just in money, but in space, peace of mind, and energy. Margaret used this test in her garage first. It was packed with old tools from her DIY days. Rusty screwdrivers, wrenches, and broken drills. She hadn't touched any of it in over a decade. She realized that if she really needed a hammer one day, she could replace it for under $10. But keeping all those tools was stressing her out every time she pulled into the garage. So she kept one basic tool set and donated the rest to a neighbor starting a small repair business. Win-win. She did the same thing with her craft supplies. Yarn, fabric scraps, buttons, boxes of things for projects she never started. The replacement cost for any of it? Around $10-15. But they were taking up shelves and collecting dust. So out they went to a local art program where they'd actually get used. The real eye-opener was the old furniture. She had an extra sofa stored just in case company ever came. But guess what? It made her garage so cramped she hated walking through it. She donated the sofa and said it was like opening a window, not in the garage, in her mind. So if you're stuck holding on to something just in case, ask yourself, is the cost of keeping it higher than the cost of replacing it? And more importantly, is it costing you peace? Now your turn. What's one thing you're keeping that you haven't used in years and could replace for under $15? Old cables? Extra dishes? Drop it in the comments. Let's name it and clear it. Point 5. The energy priority scale. It's simple. Not everything deserves your energy. So instead of trying to give every item the same level of thought, she rated them on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 means no emotional value, easy to toss. 10 means deeply meaningful, deserves time and care. This helped her focus on what really mattered and gave her permission to let go of the rest without guilt. She started with her books. Margaret had shelves and shelves of old mystery novels. Most of them she'd read once and would never touch again. She rated them a 1 or 2. Out they went, donated to the library for their next book sale. But then she found her mother's gardening journal. Handwritten notes. Little pressed flowers tucked inside. That was a 10. She cleaned it, wrapped it carefully, and stored it in a memory box with love. She applied the same thinking to her clothes. Her closet was jam-packed. Dozens of dresses, coats, scarves. Most of them hadn't been worn in years. She rated each one quickly. The scratchy sweaters? 1. The dress she always felt good in? 9. She kept the few that still made her feel like her and donated the rest to a local women's shelter. Even her office papers got the same treatment. Old receipts and outdated documents? 1 shredded. Important insurance papers? 10. Neatly filed away. What she learned was this. Most of the things draining her energy every day were actually the least important. Old mugs she didn't like. Drawers she couldn't close. Piles of paper she never read. Once she cleared those low-priority items, her home started to feel peaceful again. Not perfect, not magazine-ready, just calm. So here's your question. What's draining your energy? Is it cluttered counters? A messy drawer? And used clothes taking up space? Start there. Rate just 10 things today. You'll know right away which ones deserve your time and which ones you can finally let go. Point 6. The next chapter test. Here's how it works. For every item you're unsure about, ask yourself this one question. Does this belong to the life I'm living now? Or to the life I've already lived? See, so many of us are surrounded by things from a chapter that's already closed. Teaching supplies from a career we've retired from. Toys from when our kids were little. Party platters from the days when we hosted big family holidays. These things once had a purpose, but do they still serve us? Or are they just keeping us tied to a version of ourselves we've already said goodbye to? Margaret had shelves full of lesson plans, classroom posters, and colorful supplies from her 30 years as a teacher. She held on to them because they reminded her of who she was. But when she thought about who she wanted to become, someone who volunteers at the library and learns photography, those teaching supplies didn't fit anymore. So she donated them to new teachers just starting out. And she said it felt like passing the torch, not losing a piece of herself. She did the same thing in the kitchen. Out went the heavy roasting pans and giant serving dishes. She wasn't making holiday dinners for 15 anymore. These days, it was book club snacks and tea with a neighbor. She kept what worked for that and let the rest go. Even her partner's belongings got the same test. She'd kept his fishing gear, thinking it honored his memory, but it just sat in a corner gathering dust. The truth was, holding onto it wasn't helping her heal. So she kept one special item, his fishing hat, and donated the rest to a kids program that teaches outdoor skills. That way, his memory could live on through new adventures. This hack isn't about forgetting your past. It's about making space for your next chapter. One where you are the main character again. A chapter filled with things that match who you are now and who you're becoming. Point 7. The gratitude goodbye. Letting go is hard. Not because we need the item, but because of what it represents. A memory, a person, a season of life. Margaret understood that deeply, and that's why her final hack wasn't about organizing, sorting, or simplifying. It was about honoring. She called it the gratitude goodbye, and it was the key to finding peace, not just order. Here's how it works. Before letting go of something that carries emotional weight, you thank it. Out loud, in your heart, or with a small ritual, whatever feels right. It's not silly. It's not dramatic. It's powerful, because saying thank you gives you closure. It lets you move forward without regret. Margaret used this hack when she parted with some of her most personal items. Her late partner's old sweaters? She held each one, remembered the warmth they shared by the fireplace, whispered a thank you, then donated them to a local homeless shelter. It gave her peace knowing they'd bring warmth to someone else. Her children's old toys, the plastic dinosaurs, dollhouses, and board games, had been sitting in boxes for over 20 years. She took photos of them and created a little digital memory album to share with her kids. Then she donated the toys to a daycare center. Her kids got to relive the memories, and other children got to create new ones. Even her chipped dishes, the ones used during hundreds of family dinners, got a simple thank you before she sent them off for recycling. "You served me well," she said, and meant it. The most touching moment came with her wedding albums. She had 18 of them, many full of blurry photos or doubles. She sat down, flipped through them all, and chose the 2 that best told her story. She said goodbye to the rest with gratitude, not sadness. "The love is still here," she told me. "I just don't need 18 books to prove it." This hack helped her stop second-guessing. Before she discovered it, she kept pulling things back out of donation boxes. But once she said goodbye with intention, she never looked back. So here's your moment. What's one sentimental item you're holding on to because you feel guilty letting it go? Maybe it's an old jacket, some family dishes, or piles of old cards. Try saying a quiet thank you. You'll be surprised how peaceful it feels. When the moving van pulled up to Margaret's house 48 hours later, she wasn't anxious. She wasn't panicked. She wasn't buried in bubble wrap or surrounded by regret. She was ready to step into her next chapter, lighter, freer, and more alive than she had felt in years. She donated over 15 truckloads of things she no longer needed. She kept only what served her present life and future dreams. And the best part? She didn't just declutter her house, she decluttered her spirit. 6 months later, she called me from her new apartment. Her voice sounded completely different, full of energy and excitement. She told me she'd started teaching photography at the senior center, volunteering at the local library, and, for the first time in decades, planning her first solo trip to Italy. "I didn't just clear out a house," she said. "I cleared space for me. And that's what I want for you. Because this isn't just about getting rid of stuff. It's about making room for the life you deserve. A life that isn't weighed down by the past, but wide open to joy, calm, and purpose." Hit that like button if this helped you. Subscribe and ring the bell for more weekly tips made just for seniors like you. And please, share this video with a friend, neighbor, or family member who might be feeling overwhelmed too. Now you tell me, which hack will you try first? And what's one item you're finally ready to say goodbye to? Drop it in the comments below. I'll be waiting for you there.